everyone. This is Mckenzie Welsh with Salina Homes, and today I am here interviewing Tanner Hoekman with American Family Insurance, and we are going to talk about home insurance, the things that you need to know about it, and a few questions that I had myself that Tanner will answer. Welcome, Tanner, to our new podcast that we're doing, all about the parts of owning.
Homie insurance.
All the parts that go into owning a house and the real estate transaction of buying or selling a house. So Tanner here is from American Family Insurance, and he's going to tell us a little bit about homeowners insurance. It's kind of funny. I was giving him some prompts of, some questions that we would talk about, and I actually don't know a ton about home insurance, which I hate to admit, but it's such a small part of the real estate transaction for my, it's a big part for the buyer. Mm-hmm. You want home insurance, but it's just a small thing of my job. So I want to know more about it. And if you're buying a house or if you're selling a house, you should want to know about it too.
Yeah, and kind of like what we talked about before I even got into insurance, I didn't know a lick about it, any of it. So
and now look at you here. You're going to tell us about it.
Now I'm here, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We can do.
Yeah. So let's start out with, let's say you're buying a house and the bank's going to tell you, hey, you're going to need some insurance on this property. What's the first steps that they take? Do they just pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some home insurance, and then where do you guys take it from there?
Yeah, so, it's really simple like that. Just calling a agency, saying, hey, I just need some quotes on this house. Then they'll kind of go into some questions about the house, about you, mostly just general information, but not a whole lot of information you really need to get a quote started on it. So pretty simple in that case of it. But they will always, if you're going through a loan of any sort, they're going to make you put insurance on that house so that it's covered. But, that's kind of.
So, like, the specifics, like, you need, because you texted me the other day, the name, date of birth, social security number.
Yep.
You needed the address, and then what else?
So, for, like, general information, like, if you're just to call me today and say, hey, I want a quote on this house, and we don't have you in our system at all, I just need your name. It's going to be everybody that's in the household's name too. So, if it was just you and Walker, it'd be you, his name, both your date of births, social securities for both. We don't necessarily need those, but that can actually help out in premium running that. So, and then address, of course. Now we'll get both. Like if you're at a current address now where you're living, and then also the one that we're going to quote.
That you're buying, okay.
But that's just the general information. Now, cell phone number, email as well. And then when we go into the house part of it, okay, give me the address. We can get a lot of the information off the parcel search. Okay. So like how many bedrooms, bathrooms, stuff like that. First thing we'll probably ask you is it listed online? That way we can go in, look at pictures. That's kind of our way of looking at the inside of it.
Okay.
We don't necessarily need to see the inside of it to do a quote, though. So that's why we get a lot of our information from the parcel search there. But we'll just confirm some things with you, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, livable square footage, if you know that information. But don't technically need that right away. But
do you need, like, I've had people ask me for, like, if I'm the seller's agent, they want to know, like, the age of the roof or, like, the age of the HVAC and, like, that kind of stuff. Is that relevant up front, or is that a little bit more in depth?
Yes. So that's kind of like the first question I'd ask, too, when we're going into details about the house is, when was your roof last replaced?
Okay.
Now, I can't speak for other companies, but I know American Family, with our newer policies, it is based off that roof year. Okay. So it's pretty important to have that. So for the first 15 years with American Family, so say you just got a new roof on your house, we'll cover that at replacement cost for 15 years.
Okay.
After 15 years, it's supposed to go to actual cash value, so appreciated value. but there's kind of some ways we can get around that. So say you hit your 16th year and it's supposed to go to actual cash value. We can send, either myself, somebody in the agency, take some pictures of that roof.
Okay.
Say it's in good shape. It just happens sometimes. 16 years, you might not have anything happen to your roof. It's in good shape. We can go out there, take some pictures, even have a contractor look at it. And if they say it's still in good shape, we can still keep replacement costs on it for a couple more years. So,
okay.
But that is a big part of home insurance is having that roof coverage on there. So,
right.
But when it goes to the actual cash value, that's just like anything else. Vehicles depreciate. So over time, there's a percentage that gets taken off.
Yeah, yeah. When you were talking, it brought up like so many other questions that I have, because I feel like there's so many there's so many parts of insurance just in general. Yeah. But one of the things that to talk about is like, explain to me, I'm going to maybe butcher it, actual cash value and replacement
cost value.
Cost value.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you killed it.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm learning,
Yeah. So no, replacement cost value, that's meaning, if you were to have some type of peril, so we'll just stick with the roof here. So say you have replacement costs on there. Hailstorm comes through, contractor gets up there and says, hey, this thing's totaled, need to put a whole new roof on it. You go to your insurance company, file the claim, you would pay your deductible for your windstorm and hail. Everything else to replace that whole roof is covered by your company.
Okay.
So that's what replacement cost means. Now, when that process happens, when you file the claim, they'll send you out the depreciated value first. So that's the first check you'll receive.
Okay.
So you'll get this check, and it's like a starter check in a way. Again, all this stuff's going on in the background of your, that roofing company's already ordering stuff, getting up there, repairing. Once that company has finished your roof, right, they will send a final invoice to you, and then you'll give that to us. We apply that because that tells us that the roof is actually finished. Then the final payment will go out to that company stating, we're not going to give you the full replacement cost until the job's done, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
That's any insurance.
You just want to make sure that it's actually, we're actually getting a new roof and not like going to the Bahamas or
exactly,
something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which,
the Bahamas might be a little bit better than a new roof.
Yeah, and so that's like when we see when like claims pull through on other people's houses, it's like, hey, they had a windstorm and hail claim 3 years ago. Oh, so your roof should be around 2 to 3 years old because it should have been replaced.
And that's where it gets a little tricky. I've actually ran into some situations where a claim was filed and it should have been for like a new roof, and they took the money and did not put on a new roof. Yeah. And then we've got a really sticky situation to get through. Yeah. So that's always a little tip. If you get the money, do the work.
Yes, definitely.
Because that's not going to be a fun little battle to do for sure on anyone's part.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, so we kind of covered those two. Do we hit both of them?
Yeah. So, actual cash value. So we kind of just talked about replacement, but the actual cash value. So what that is, and I kind of mentioned that earlier. So it's kind of like vehicle coverage, anything like that, where it's depreciated. So taking a vehicle right off the lot, it's going to depreciate some sort. Right. Even though you just bought it, as soon as you drive it on the on the road, it's going to lose value. Right. Same way with your roof. So as soon as you put it on there that first year, it's probably not going to lose a lot of value, but it's been through weather. It's been Kansas weather especially. It's gonna take some damage. Yeah. So, but like I said, 15 years replacement cost. But you have the option of covering stuff at actual cash value. So again, say we'll go back to the roof part of it. Now again, this could be for your house though too, but your roof's covered at actual cash value. So say we're at that 16th year, right? We have almost like what's a chart that's in our office. Each year your roof loses a percentage of depreciated value. Okay. Now when you have replacement costs, that percentage is still going, but you're still covered at 100%, if that makes sense. But so say it sits at 16th year and it's lost 3% each year. So now your actual cash value, it's been 15 years, 3%, you lost 45% of replacement costs. Right. So, 16th year, it's actual cash value. It gets totaled. and you're at actual cash value, that's 65% that American Family would pay for, and then the 45% is on you of the full replacement cost, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, that does. So, and maybe you do or don't have an opinion either way. Is there, I don't want to say is one better than the other, but do you sway people one way versus the other, or
yes,
what do we
100% replacement cost? I mean, that's you should always kind of shoot for that. I mean, it's, and really the difference in premium coverage is the biggest thing, where it's not a huge difference. Like, a lot of people are like, well, whatever I can do to save money sometimes, which I get, but it's not, when you look at premium difference there, it's not a big enough difference to make sense to go to actual cash value. Now when you're forced to do like actual cash value, like on the roof, not much you can do about that. But there's still coverage on there, a little bit. So we try and do as much as we can to keep it at replacement costs regardless. If you're getting close to that year, like if you're getting close to that 15 number, so each year we reach out at least once a year for a review. So we'll have you come in, just go over everything you have. I mean, not just your home, but your autos, life policies, umbrellas. If you have commercial policies, we'll go over it all. But when we go over strictly the home, well, that's one of the first things we'll say, like, hey, I'm not trying to put pressure on you or anything, but how's the roof doing? Is it, any problems with it? A lot of people, no, we're good. I'll just say, okay, well, you're getting to that age there to where it's coming up on that 15-year mark. But if you need us to, I mean, we work with about every roofing company in town. But if you need us to have somebody go out there and check it out, they don't charge anything. Honestly, they like to do that so that hopefully they can earn your business later. But they'll do that just to see if there's damage to it or whatnot. But we try and keep it as simple for our clients. I mean, if they call in or whatnot and need us to do something for it, we'll do it. I mean, we'll take the reins and kind of make the calls, have them go out. They'll tell them that stuff.
Yeah, I actually had my yearly review with you guys because I have my insurance through American Family, and it's been phenomenal, by the way. So good job.
Yeah,
keep it up.
I'll tell you.
But she sat down and went over, like you said, everything. Learned a lot. I'm probably gonna tell on myself here that I what I didn't know. But I didn't. I was looking at the numbers, and she had what I thought was the value of my home, and I was like, whoa, like that's pretty high. Like I felt good about it, and then she kind of was confused, and I'm like, well, wait, like that's not what like my house is appraised at. And so then she explained to me, she was like, no, like if a tornado came through or whatever, that's the value of what it would take to replace your home in today's world. Which through COVID and all that stuff, when the prices of lumber and all that stuff went up and all that, and now that's basically our new normal, all those prices, that mine, I mean, I think everyone's insurance went up a little bit, but so mine ended up going up a little bit because it would have taken more money to rebuild my house if it were to ever burn down or tornado or whatever. So I learned that. And so I just felt so smart that I was like, oh, okay, I understand that now.
And that is literally, so I do these reviews with people. I mean, make the calls, they come in, they'll sit with me. I try and do as much as I can in a week.
Right.
But, a few a day there pretty much. Because we call people and they'll be like, I'm okay with my insurance, whatnot. We'll just tell them, hey, if there's any questions you have or you want to schedule, we can do this at any time. So just call us. We don't have to reach out to them for them to come in. I mean, people can do that at any time. But we'll have those reviews, and the amount, I'd probably say 80% of the people do what you thought. They just think, they're like, oh my gosh, like my house isn't worth that, especially when we're quoting houses. People are like, okay, I purchased this for $150,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, our replacement cost is coming in at like $220.
Right.
And they see that and they're like, that's not, I told you my purchase price is $150.
Yeah.
I'm like, Okay,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
you have.
Welcome to the insurance world. This is how we do things here.
I get it. It's not what you paid for it, but if you were to have to replace that house,
Yeah.
I mean,
You couldn't for $150,000 in today's world.
Exactly.
Yep. I totally get that.
Yeah. But that's my daily, is just kind of going over that with people, which I do like. Right now it is tough. I mean, like you said, I mean, everybody's unfortunately prices and everything are kind of going up.
Yeah.
Same
with
insurance.
Anything.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
life,
And
groceries.
yes.
I mean, everything is.
Yeah.
So.
So we do those reviews, but it's mostly informal so that you can learn that stuff. I mean, again, that's our job to take care of you on that, but we like to explain stuff that
and I bet you that there are so many people out there that like don't fully know everything about their insurance policy or whatever it may be. They just knew that when they bought a house they had to get home insurance on it, and that's what they called and did. So it was almost nice to sit down and be like, okay, this is what I know that I'm paying for, this is my coverage, making sure that she had me set up on the best thing possible and stuff. So, and
that's the biggest thing, like, so and that's why I think, I mean, obviously Jeff's very successful. There's American Family agencies all over, but he does really well. And it's because of the little things like that, where we have people come in and we review. A lot of people, they just get their renewals and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm taking an increase. They have no clue why.
Yeah.
And then they're just mad because of that.
Yeah.
Well, we like to call them, kind of say, hey, your renewal's coming out. Can we schedule a time to meet and go over some things?
Yeah.
So we can explain stuff. It makes it a little easier than just seeing that and be like, oh, I got to pay more for what? And they don't look at their policy. They just look at the premium.
Right.
So, and then we can explain stuff like that. It makes more sense. And then, and then it kind of cools things out.
Yeah. Because there's nothing more frustrating than paying for something that you have no idea what the heck you're paying for and why and all that. So, yeah. I will never forget. Jeff texted me one time when there was, which is part of why I love your guys' agency, because I feel like people are always reaching out, just making sure that we're okay. Because it's, your guys' job to watch over our stuff, and so thankful for that. But he texted me one day after it was maybe like a windstorm maybe. Yeah. And I was just so nice that he took the time, and he was like, hey, how's it going out there? Like, any damage that that we need to file or anything. And I hadn't even thought of, like, my mind wasn't even there. So it was nice that I had somebody else that was reaching out, and I think Sam maybe reached out for Blush for our business, because does she do
commercial
stuff. So it was just nice to have people that are looking out for you and stuff. So I want to talk about another thing I didn't know: bundling.
Yes.
I feel so smart here with all these terms. So
I paid attention to that meeting.
Yes. So you can bundle. So, like, let's say that most people have a car before they have a house.
Yeah.
So if you start out with car insurance and then you go to buy a house, you can bundle them together and it's cheaper?
Yes.
It's like a better rate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're going to get, so that's probably the biggest discount with any company is going to be, home and auto together.
Okay.
The more policies you put together with it, more discounts in a way. Okay. So, but yes, bundling is a big deal with insurance. So, if somebody calls us and they're just like, hey, I need a quote on a home, and we're like, okay, hey, do you have an auto or something? They're like, no, I just want to get the home first. We're fine with that. That's totally, we'll quote the house. What we'll do is we'll quote it with just the house itself, and then we'll also do one with the discount applied to it, so they can see. All you need is one vehicle to bundle, really.
Oh, okay.
And then that gets you that discount. Now, of course, the more vehicles you have, you get the multi-vehicle. There's a whole bunch of discounts that kind of go in with the autos. But for the home, if you just put one auto with it, you get the home and auto discount, and it saves a lot of money for the year. So, yes, bundling is, ideal. Now, I know some cases that it just doesn't work out like that.
Right.
But if you can, definitely try that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I think I've got all mine bundled. I'm sure I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure they've got me taken care of down there.
Yeah.
Something else we were chatting about was, and I've just kind of talked with other peers and my clients and stuff, is most people, when you can disagree or agree with me,
Okay.
most people, when they go to buy a house or they go to buy a car and they need insurance, it's like their go-to thing is, I'm just going to go with where my mom and dad has insurance, right?
Oh, yeah.
So while I think that's a good thing, I
Mhm.
also think that just like rates with a loan,
Mhm.
you can kind of like shop around.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. I mean, like, if you just called us to get a home quote, and it's not like we're going to be like, hey, are you asking other companies or anything?
Right.
No, we don't do that. So you could have already called 5 other companies before you
Right.
called us, or, we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can shop around with that. You can take them out there. Every company is going to have different discounts, different coverages. Yeah. One company might have your house covered at $220,000. The other one might be $250,000.
Yeah.
You just never know. Every company is different. And that's questions you want to ask them too. Why is my house covered for this much? Really, it's when we look at things, it's livable square footage, how much that dollar amount per square footage is.
Okay.
We like to keep it around in the same little area there. That's average for today's prices on everything too. So we pretty much, if you were to call me and we were to write your home, we put all this information on your house, square footage, livable square footage, siding material, like I was telling you earlier, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, all that goes into this giant calculator in a way. And that calculator spits out the number of replacement costs for your house.
Okay.
With today's prices of material, labor, I mean, that's a big part of it too, which that's also skyrocketed. But
right. Yeah.
all that kind of goes in this big calculator, and that spits us out that number. So that's every company's is going to be different.
Does a person's credit score or debt or anything, does that have anything to do with your insurance rate?
Yes. So there is, and we don't really touch base on this a lot with it because it does kind of get a little confusing, but every person has what's called an insurance grade.
Okay.
So it's this number but it takes all that into account. So it takes how long you've had insurance, any type of cancellations for any reasons, non-pays, all this kind of goes into this.
Okay.
Credit, if you're thinking autos, driving record, MVR, all that kind of goes into that. But the closer to zero, the better for your premium in a way. Okay. So you want a lower number. But that all kind of takes factor. And that's kind of what I was telling you. We don't necessarily need your social, but that could help out that number going down. Okay. So
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a confusing part with the insurance grade, but everybody has one, and that's your rating for premiums.
Gotcha. So. Cool. Is there any other information that you think, because again, this is your profession, not mine, so you probably know some more important information. So is there any important things that a buyer, I work a lot with first-time home buyers, so, we're all clueless here. Yeah. But is there anything important that you think that a home buyer needs to know when getting home insurance? Is there anything that tips, tricks, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would. The biggest thing is just ask questions. If you were to call, and that's not just our company, but if you called anywhere, just ask questions. Get a feel for how they do things. That's what I and again, I'm working under Jeff, so I see all how he does things, and just the way that we kind of prioritize things for different people, claims wise, stuff like that. We just don't. It's not everybody just does everything, so we can kind of focus on people a little bit better that way.
Yeah.
But just asking questions about that. How does that all work? Claim process. If I have a claim, who do I call?
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, and get a good feel for it, because I do think the more, and no one ever really wants to have like a connection with their insurance guy. If I don't hear from you, that's a good thing.
Right? That sounds expensive.
Yeah. So, but at least just going into those meetings, or at least talking with them on the phone once a year to to kind of go over the policy, just so you kind of have that little bond. So
Yeah.
that way, like, if you did call, I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? And I can take care of you a lot
Right.
better that way. But
Yeah, put a face to a name to, like, know who's dealing with my stuff. Yeah.
Because there's coverages. I mean, there's all different types of coverages, different companies. Just the way they go about things, though, can be a lot different. That, hopefully you don't ever run into a problem, but it can happen. So,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's ask questions and do what's right for you and what you feel is good. So
no stupid question. I've learned that there's I think not. Too, because like you said, every company has so many different things, like that go with in their company and their policies and stuff. Yeah. So when you kind of start comparing like 2 to 3 of them, if you're getting quotes and stuff, you could easily get confused with like, okay, verbiage, wait, what? Or, they call it this, but they call it this, but it's, the same thing kind of. So yeah, I could definitely see where asking questions. I mean, that's what you guys are there for, is to literally explain it all.
Yes.
Because like you said, I don't know if you said that, but you didn't know anything about insurance until you got into insurance.
I did not. I'll admit it. I didn't know a thing about insurance until I really, sat down and went over everything with Jeff and had to take some classes and whatnot. But, now it's just a second nature, but I didn't know a thing. Yeah, you're right. So,
which you were kind of telling me like how you got into insurance, and that was very similar to Jeff's story, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Listening to that podcast with your dad and Jeff, it was, just the way, he played sports or whatnot, and then you had a guy come tell him, I need you to come work for me, just try it out, insurance. And I was the same way. I went to school, I wanted to get into teaching and coaching, but mostly just, start with a college coaching is kind of what I want to do. And this guy just kind of talked me into it, and so just give it a try. So I traveled and did life insurance and knocked on doors, and that was brutal. But like Jeff said, it was really, it was good for me.
Yeah, it's humbling because then you appreciate like being in the office and getting to do what you do now.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot more, traveling. I've been gone all the time. I'm home every night now.
Right.
Super nice. But and then Jeff called me and had me come in and started talking with him, and now I'm an American Family, and I love it. So but yeah, it's kind of weird how our stories are kind of lined up. But.
Yeah, and like you were telling me, even more detail of like how they were, which kind of gives you goosebumps because it's like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. So well, you got a really good mentor, and he's set you up for success, and I really appreciate you coming here to tell and talk about home insurance, because like I said, I think it's such a small portion of my job. I just, I remind my buyers like, hey, don't forget, you got to switch utilities, you got to get home insurance, you got to, like, I just go down my list, but I don't hold their hand through the home insurance part. And again, the bank will, kind of check in and be like, hey, next thing on your checklist is, get home insurance, and then have them send me the quote. And that was one other question I did have. What's your guys' relationship with the bank or the lender? Because I recently had one where the insurance company and the lender kind of they were talking more than I ever kind of thought that they were.
Oh, yeah.
So what's your relationship with, like, what do you guys do together?
So if you just called in, you're like, hey, I need a quote for this, and then, of course, we'll go with a quote, and if you want to pursue that, that's one of the questions we'll ask too when we're going through, like, just general information. Do you have a loan on the house? Are you going to be going through escrow? Because that's, obviously they're going to be paying us for the year, and then you're paying them monthly with your mortgage.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because I've done it both ways. So if you're watching this as a buyer, you can either pay your insurance company directly, which I have done, or you can have it escrowed for you, just like your taxes would. So, like, you can escrow, so your monthly payment would be your taxes, insurance, and your house payment
all tied into one.
Yep, and then the bank would pay you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll let you keep going.
So, yeah, they would you could probably go to my emails and type in any lender in Salina. I mean, towns in this area, even Wichita probably too. I mean, just anywhere. You could probably start typing their email in. That's going to pull through because we email them all the time.
Gotcha.
We'll go back and forth. We have to send them information on the house. A lot of times they'll call us first before we even know they're going to go with us, and they'll be like, "Hey, talk to so and so, and they said that they're going with you guys. Can you go ahead and send us over, statement of premium and evidence of insurance?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, no, not a problem. We'll send that over." So then, by the time the buyer actually calls us, we're like, "Hey, we already got it taken care of." Like I said, we try and make it as easy for the buyer, especially at that time. If they're buying a new home.
They've got a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So anything we can take care of on the backside that they don't have to worry about, we'll do that. But we talk with them back and forth a lot. So
cool.
It's just kind of how it goes.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the questions that I have. If you had anything else to add, you're more than welcome to jump at it. But if you have any questions about home insurance, Tanner's on Facebook. I'm sure that he'll see this lovely thing when we post it.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, you can definitely contact him or anybody at American Family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They have been nothing but a blessing and great in mine and my husband's lives. I know that my whole family has American Family. Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope that our people listening learned some stuff too, because I definitely learned even more than what I know now.
Good.
So
yeah.
cool.
Well, thank you.
All right. Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.